Hi everyone, this is part 1 of the fall final review. So looking at question 1A, a student worked at a gym continuously for 50 minutes. The graph shows the remaining percentage of a workout as a linear function of x, the time in minutes. Which answer choice best describes the domain and range of the function? So first thing we should always think of when we hear domain and range is Dr. XY. This tells us that domain is our x values, range is our y values. So I'm going to focus on one thing at a time. My domain, okay, again, we know that's our x values, so I'm going to go ahead and highlight my x-axis. And then I want to only look at the x values of what I have. So this top point right here, that would be labeled as 0, 100. This bottom point would be 50, 0. Okay, so of those 2 points, I only want the x values, and I want to make sure my answer choice has 0 to 50 as listed in it. So answer choice A says the domain is all real numbers greater than or equal to 0. Okay, good. And less than or equal to 100. We don't want our domain to go to 100, so that would be wrong. Answer choice B says our domain is -2. -2 is not even on our graph, so we mark that out. C, domain is all real numbers greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 50. Those are the 2 numbers I want. Okay, so that could be our possible answer. And if we look at D, it just says 100, not the correct answer, so C is our correct answer. Looking at 1B, a student rode a bike from school to the recreation center. The graph shows the student's distance in miles from the recreation center after riding the bike for X minutes. What is the range of this function? Okay, so remember, range is our y values. So this time I'm just focusing on the y-axis. Okay, so again, I'm going to start by labeling my 2 endpoints. This would be 0, 9. This would be 28, 0. Since I'm dealing with domain, I just want the y values. So I want it to say something about 0 to 9. So F says all real numbers greater than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 28. That doesn't work. G says all real numbers greater than or equal to 0, less than or equal to 9. That's a possibility. H says all real numbers less than or equal to 28. Nope. And J says all real numbers less than or equal to 9, but it doesn't say anything about 0, which means it can go below 0, and we don't want that. So our answer is G. Okay, moving on to 2A and 2B. So on 2A, we want to find just the domain. So again, we always think about Dr. XY. It tells us that our domain is our x values. So I just want to focus on the x-axis, which is right here. And I want to look at the x values. So I'm going to draw my little boundary lines right here. And those are the 2 x values that I want to use, -9 to 2. So that means I can eliminate H and J. Also, H and J uses y in the middle. G of x is the same thing as y, in case you didn't know. Okay, now the only difference is I need to know what has an open circle, what has a closed circle. So if I see an inequality like this, it's an open circle. An inequality that has a line underneath goes with our closed circle. So I have a closed circle, then I have an open circle, then a closed circle. So my inequality signs should be like F. Okay. Going on to the next one, it says what is the range? So that is our y values. So I'm focusing on the y-axis. I'm going to do the same thing, drawing my boundary lines. So it goes here to here. If I look at my answer choices, I can eliminate the 2 answer choices that have x's with them. We don't want those. And then paying attention to my inequality signs, I have a closed circle, which means I should have the line underneath, and an open circle, which means I should have no line. So next to -6, I should have a line underneath, which would give me J. Moving on to the next one, 3A, what is the domain of the function graph below? Okay, so again, talking about domain. So I'm going to highlight my my x-axis, I'm sorry, and draw my boundary line. Okay, so it starts here. Now, I can eliminate the two answer choices that have -4, so that would be C and D. Then I have to look, is it going to be greater than or less than? Well, if I draw my line all the way, okay, we look, everything over here is less than 6. Everything over here is going to be greater than. So if we think about it, my arrow is going towards the greater than, so it's answer choice A. Looking at 3B, what is the range of the function? Well, I can automatically highlight my y-axis. Oop, that's not the highlighter. Okay, draw my boundary line. So I can eliminate anything that has a 6 in it. Okay, now, same concept. The difference is greater than or less than. So everything below it is less than. Everything above it is greater than. Okay, so it's going above it, so I want my answer to contain greater than, which would be answer choice C. Okay, next one, still more domain and range. So a golfer hit a golf ball from a tee box that's is 6 yards above ground. The graph shows the height in yards of the golf ball of the ground is a quadratic function of x, the horizontal distance in yards, the golf ball from the tee box. So we want to see what is the domain. Again, domain is our x values. So I just want to focus on my x values, and I need to make sure I contain the whole entire thing. So if I look at answer choice A, it uses 0 to 230, which would include all my x values. So that's a possibility. If I look at G, it says 6 to 36. Well, it looks like they're using the y values, so we don't want that one. H says 0 to 36. That's mixing x and y values. We don't want to do that. Letter J says 6 to 230. Again, 6 is an x value right now, so we don't want that, so my answer is F. Next, which graph represents a function with a range of all real numbers greater than or equal to -6? So what I would first do is highlight all my y-axis and put a line where -6 is on the y-axis. So our quadratic function should start there, which means we can eliminate A and D. Now we want it to be greater than, which means it needs to be getting bigger. So that means that if we're looking at answer choice B, that is less than. It's going down, it's smaller than -6. C would be greater than. So we want our answer to be C. Okay. Looking at the next one, more domain and range. This time it's of an exponential function. So which inequality best represents the range? So again, we know that our range is our y values, so we highlight our y-axis. Okay. I look and I draw a line to my y-axis. It's starting at -1. So I can eliminate the answer choices that use -2 and the answer choice that uses x. So my answer is B. Looking at 5B, which part of the exponential function is graphed on the grid. Which inequality best represents the domain? So I'm going to my x-axis. Okay, so from here, I draw a line to my x-axis to see what x value I am going to use. I can look at my answer choices. Since I know domain is my x's, I can eliminate B and D because those use y's. And I circled -2 on my x-axis, which means it should be A. Okay, next one, what is the solution to this? So this is where we can go to our calculator. So I'm going to go ahead, go to my calculator, get a new document, and go to calculator. I'm going to go to menu 3-2, but I only had one equation, so I changed it to 1. My variable was x, so I can go there. I'm going to go ahead and put my notes on top so I can see what the question was. And we're going to type that in exactly as it looks. So we have 34x plus 95 equals 3 times 14, x plus 9, close my parentheses, double check, 34x plus 95 equals 3 times 14x plus 9, perfect. Okay, I'm going to send that off to the side, press enter. It gives me a decimal. If you hit control, enter, the yellow button, then enter, it changes to a decimal. Okay, so you should get 8.5. So if we go to bubble it in, it was positive, so we have 8.5. Bubble in. Okay, moving on to the next one. What value of n makes the equation true? Okay, so again, I'm going to go to menu 3-2, change the number of equations to 1, and then I'm going to type in my equation exactly as it looks. So 4 times 0.5. I'm going to change my variables to x's just because that's the variable I chose. So if you want to use n's, you have to change that x to an n. Minus 3, close parentheses, equals x minus 0.25 times 12 minus 8x. Double check, 4 times 0.5x plus 3 equals x minus 0.25 times 12 minus 8x, perfect. Press enter, I get -9 as my answer. So I look at my answer choices, and that looks like it's answer choice G. Okay, looking at the next one, function notation. Given f of x equals, what is the value of f of -8? All we're going to do is plug in -8 for x. Okay, so I have 6 times 1 minus, I'm plugging in -8. Press enter. $54 is my answer. Okay, looking at B, same concept, but we have h of x and we want to find h of -3. So I'm going to take that equation, change x to -3. You do need to make sure that anytime you are squaring a number, it goes in parentheses like that. So I have 3 minus, then my big set of parentheses, I put -3 in parentheses, squared it on the outside, plus 4 minus 6. When I do that, I get -16. Okay. Next one, which inequality best describes the solution? So if we change this to an equal sign, it usually can help us eliminate some of our answer choices. We go menu 3-2 again. I change that to 1, I hit OK, I type it in. Okay, so if we have 5 times 3 minus x equals -2 x plus 6, double check, press enter. Oops, it tells me my answer should be 3. So I look at my answer choices, and yes, I only have 1 3 right now, but sometimes you might have an answer choice that looks like this that is very similar. So you need to know the difference between those two. So if you draw a number line, what I would suggest you do is pick a number on this side of the number line like 2 and a number like this, 4. So you can see which side the numbers are going to work. Okay, so if I plug in 2 here, we need to see if it's going to make it true or false. So what I mean is I would take 5 parentheses 3 minus 2. Now I'm going to use the inequality signs. Oops. This one right here. Negative 2 times 2 plus 6. So if I do that, I press enter, it tells me false. Okay, if I copy that and change all the 2's to 4's, okay, look how it tells me true, which means my arrow should be going this way. Okay, well, if you look at this answer choice, look how it tells you to go that way anyways. Okay, so that's why we would pick B over something like E, is if we drew a number line and tested some points. Okay, it does come in handy if you have 2 of the same numbers listed. Okay, looking at the next one, let me erase what I have. What is the solution set? So again, menu 3-2 allows us to eliminate some of our answers. Okay, we type it in. The only difference is we're changing our inequality signs to equal signs. So I have negative 4x plus 10 equals 5x plus 55. Okay, so when I answer it, it tells me my answer is negative 5, which means this is the correct answer. Again, if you had an answer choice that was similar, this is where you would need to do a number line and do some test points. So I would have negative 5 here. Something smaller than negative 5 would be negative 6. Something bigger would be negative 4. So if I test negative 6 into this equation, I have negative 4 times negative 6 plus 10. Use my inequality sign. Um, 5 times negative 6 plus 55, press enter. I get a true statement, okay, which means I would shade this way. So I want to look at the inequality symbol that would make that arrow, which would be H. Okay, so that's just a backup plan if you have the same answer listed twice or the same number listed twice. Okay, next one, 9A. Which expression is equivalent? Remember, equivalent means same as or equal to. So all we're going to do is combine like terms and add them because there's a plus sign. So 10 plus negative 18 is a negative 8. 7R plus 5R is a 12R. Negative 1R plus a negative 6R is a negative 7R squared. I'm sorry, I've left off the squared. I look for my answer choices that are similar, so I want it to be a negative 7R squared, which means I can eliminate J and G. And then I want it to be 12R, so my answer is H. Okay, looking at 9B. First thing I see is that it says it's equivalent, but I see that I need to distribute this negative here. This positive is not going to change anything there, so I can drop those parentheses. So I get 2x squared plus 4x minus 6x squared plus 9. I have to distribute negative 1, which makes it negative 6x, and then negative 1 again, which makes it negative 3. I combine my like terms. 4x squared minus 6x squared. That gives me a negative 4x squared. I look at my answer choices. I can eliminate J and H. I combine my x terms. I have 4x minus 6x, which is a negative 2x. That doesn't help me eliminate anything. Then I have 9 minus 3, which is a positive 6. So my answer should be G. Okay, last one here of this video. Which expression is equivalent? Okay, so again, I'm just going to take my answer choices and multiply them out, and I'm looking to get 35m minus 63. So 7 times 5m is 35m. 7 times negative 9 is a negative 63. That's what I want. It's my answer. Okay, number 10b, which is equivalent. I see that I need to distribute this stuff here first, so that's what I'm going to do. I drop down the 9q. I take 2/3 times q, and I get a negative 2q. Negative 2/3 times a negative 7 is a positive 14/3 plus 5q. I combine all my q's. 9q minus 2q is 7q, plus 5 is 12q, plus 14/3. So that would be answer choice B. And that's it for the first part of the video. If you have questions, make sure you ask your teacher before your final. Good luck, Rangers, and have a